Welcome everybody to today's workshop. My name is Carlos Almeida. I'm a resident counselor here at Company Wellness Solutions, and today we're going to be looking at recognizing mental strain at work. So let us begin. How mental strain can lead to burnout. The reason why we're looking into this is because mental strain after a long duration of time can actually lead to burnout, because this is kind of prolonged and unmanaged mental strain. So when we're looking at mental strain, this is looking at pressures within our mind, the way we deal with things, how our mind, body, and even actions interact with everything around us. So when stress becomes more consistent, as well as recovery becomes more limited, we kind of lead towards that mental strain aspect. Now, this can also lead to burnout, like we mentioned earlier, because of obviously a duration of time. Now, some of the things that we can look at is ongoing pressure, mental strain, as well as chronic stress response. This can all lead to burnout altogether, because it's not over one menial thing, it is normally over a duration. So a couple of things keep on happening consistently that we kind of lead to us breaking out the boundaries, our line that we kind of draw in the sand, and this then leads to us being in this position. Now, burnout is not caused by weakness. It is often caused by the sustained overload and without sufficient and without consistent use of recovery or support within maybe colleagues, work or relationship, or even within ourselves. So self-care and self-sustenance. What mental strain looks like. Now, when we're looking at mental strain, we need to look at it from different aspects. So we're going to look at right now, we're going to look at two, and then obviously we're going to continue looking at the other two. Now, when looking at cognitive science, so this is the way we think, the way our mind processes it. Mental strain affects the way our brain processes information. So we can kind of become more forgetful. We can then find difficulty in concentrating, finding a mental fog. So almost like you're here but not here. You're able to think of things but yet not get to the conclusions you normally reach or connect with. And even looking at increased mistakes, so we're not able to always find ourselves being able to deal with problems or see problems, be able to deal with them as effectively as we normally would. Now, when we're looking at the emotional science, so this is the way we feel, the way our interaction with people, how we normally feel about maybe stress, concerns, or even projects. Now, stress changes emotional regulation, so the way we deal with our emotions. So we can become more irritable, we feel a lot more overwhelmed more consistently, even emotional numbness. So sometimes you don't even feel anything towards anything. So maybe you were passionate about your job, but now you don't really care anymore, or you feel like it doesn't really matter if you do it or not do it. And even levels of anxiety can also increase because we're not able to regulate the way we're being in the present, and we're focusing more on the future problems that might roll up. Now, when we're looking at behavioral science, so this is our actions. This is what we do, how we interact with people directly. Well, people often change routines before recognizing stress consciously. Now, this is because withdrawing from colleagues isn't a great example, because we kind of feel like we don't want to talk to them, we don't want to deal with them, or even that we don't want to seek help from people around us. Working longer and achieving less because we feel like it needs time and we need time to actually deal with a task at hand. Maybe even avoiding tasks, so prolonging or even becoming more procrastinating towards certain tasks, and also increase conflict, because the way we deal with things, because we're feeling more irritable, we can actually increase conflict within the workplace or even in our relationships and personal life. Now, physical science is looking more at our body. So this is the way our nervous system reacts to prolonged stress and how physically we get impacted by this. Now, some of the things we can have is headaches. This is a very common one amongst people. Poor sleep patterns. So we're not always sleeping at the right times or be able to stay asleep. With anxiety, it also leads to us not even being able to go back to sleep or switch off our mind. Fatigue, because obviously we're feeling very drained and tired, but also feel like that the day is taking longer than it really is. And then the last one that I would like to mention is definitely the increased frequency of being ill. Now, this is very common because of our body continuously using adrenaline, cholesterol, even cortisol. We kind of get to that place whereby our bodies then get ill very quickly and more consistently, because our body's trying to recover the mental strain by showing us in a physical manner. Why people miss these signs? One reason, mental strain becomes more serious as well as people become more unhealthy. Now, this is kind of leading to us that unhealthy stress gradually increases. It's not something that you just get overnight, that you're now overwhelmed, stressed, and over everything. You kind of build it up. Now, some of the things that we kind of say to ourselves is, I'll rest later, I'll deal with it later. Everyone is stressed, it's not just me. I need to push myself harder. Some of these are some of the things we say to ourselves because we want to now deal with the problems. We want to show that we can handle it, even though we know that it's not sustainable, and something that became some of short term actually gradually became long term. Now, high performing employees are often at higher risk because they keep on wanting to push and push harder. So ignoring the warning signs, feeling that fatigue, feeling drained, feeling irritable, and then trying to tie self-worth to productivity because they want to show that I am doing well and that because I am well. And then finally leading to continuing that functioning while being drained. Now, kind of pushing yourselves, even though you're feeling tired, even though you feel like you can't even get out of bed in the mornings, pushing yourselves and continuously pushing yourselves instead of taking a moment to take a step back and actually reviewing, reflecting on where I am and where I need to be. So some of the things we can look at is some protective strategies we can do. So we're going to look at the recognize, recover, and respond model. This is a very good model to use, especially in identifying and being able to react to the way our stress and our mental strains are going towards. So first, recognize. It's first noticing the patterns early, looking at having self-checks, so doing that regularly, looking at awareness of your mood and energy changes. So when is the shift starting to happen? When do I start noticing I'm feeling a bit more tired? Do you know what? I'm not always in the mood to do tasks. And also tracking your sleep and your concentration. This is very important because this is sometimes one of the few and first signs that we can look at that's a lot easier to be maintaining and a lot easier to be reviewing. Now, when it comes to recovery, this is a process. So stress recovery must be intentional. We must be aware of what we're doing and how we're taking these steps. It is not about slam bamming and just about pampering yourself. It is about taking mental and physical time to actually be there for yourself. So short mental breaks is a great example. So taking 5-10 minutes maybe to do a walk or just away from your laptop or space can actually help quite a lot. Even family get-togethers, taking 5 minutes away from your family just to recover, get back to yourselves and go back is a great thing to do. Movement during the day, very helpful. Some physical and psychological well-being that's smashed into one. There's great things like sleep protection, so looking at screen time, looking at lighting, looking at what we do just before we go to bed. Reduce multitasking, so focusing more on monotasking, doing one thing at a time consecutively versus doing everything one time. And then social connection, looking at how I connect with people, who do I want to connect with, who's going to be there for me, especially when things are getting hard and things are getting overwhelming. And then lastly, looking at boundaries after work. Setting that line for yourself is not that you're weak. It is not that you are being difficult. It is that I'm trying to be more productive by able to separate my mind from what my work is doing to become better. Then the final step, respond. This is how do we respond to the stress? How do we respond to everything? We're looking at recovery, looking at recognizing what can we do. So seek support before crisis point. Looking at support early on is very helpful. You don't always have to have it going all haywire before you have to deal with it. You can start from the beginning and have maybe a meeting or two versus having an entire program set out for you. Now, speaking to a manager, I know that can be very difficult, and especially sometimes with some of them, we know that there's power struggles, which makes it very difficult. But it is important to have clear communication about what we need to deal with and how we need to deal with it so that we become more productive and more effective within our work and within our personal life. Adjust workload priorities. This is very crucial because when we are adjusting workload priorities, we need to be able to say, this is what I need to do for the day, this is what I need to do for the week, this is what I need to do for the month. Now, employee wellness resources are very crucial. Things like company wellness solutions, we offer a lot of aid on your private time, in your private settings, and sometimes you can even do it through your work settings to actually help you manage the stress before it becomes more of a problem. Talking in trusted communities and trusted colleagues is very crucial because when we talk to these people that we care about, they understand what we're going through. They're going through similar, if not the same problem as us. And this is very helpful because they can also provide alternative perspectives as well as provide aid when we need it the most. Professional help and support when symptoms are persistent is very important, because when we feel like it's becoming too overwhelming, when we feel like this is something that is becoming a problem, seeking help, it's better late than never, is one of the most common sayings ever. So if you're looking for help, reach out, speak to someone, look out and get that aid when you need it. Now, looking at everything we mentioned about earlier, this is something that we do for ourselves. But sometimes we also see our colleagues, friends, and family members all going through very similar, if not the same problem we're going through. Now, some of the signs that someone else can also be shown that they're struggling can be noticeable withdrawal. So you feel like they're getting a bit more distant from you than they normally would be, that they're less talkative. Maybe even if it's not directly you, maybe see that they're not talking to their friends that they normally do. Can be an early signs that they're also going through mental strain. Now, increased negativity, they're feeling more negative about things in ways that you don't really notice them doing it before. Reduced reliability, that they're not very consistent, they're not able to do things like they normally do. Emotional reaction out of character, so they didn't normally react this way, but now they are. And as well as sudden disengagements, you feel like they no longer want to hang out, they no longer want to talk to you, they no longer want to be involved in conversations you normally have. Now, this can also be seen as boundaries, but when it becomes more problematic is that they're no longer talking about it. Communication and conversations are the most crucial things to be aware of when it comes to things like this. So in conclusion, mental strain often appears before burnout. Now, some of the early signs that we've mentioned are your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and physical well-being. These are some of the things that we need to be aware of. Then, recognizing changes early allows for a healthier coping and recovery time for ourselves. Being there for yourself is not a problem. Being there for yourself is not a bad thing. Supporting others and ourselves is very crucial in creating a healthier workplace culture, as well as a workplace environment for yourself and everyone around you. Mental well-being is not separate from performance. It supports sustainable performance. It is not there to harm you. It is there to make you more sustainable and more consistent in providing your best self within your work environment and within your personal life. So I'd like to thank everybody for staying today's workshop, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.